What's up, guys? It is Chris back with another watch video. Today we are taking a look at Heinrich, and this is the Taucher. These are some new watches from a new micro brand that are coming out of Germany. They sent me over these three watches to actually take a look at, do a review on. We have a green, a blue, and a black dial. These are all on loan, obviously, to the channel. These are prototypes, and I do need to send them back. So I just wanted to do a quick little bit of a review of them. I've had them only for a few days, and I wanted to give you my first impressions. They did not come in a box, so there is no unboxing or anything like that that I can do. But like I said, I just wanted to show you these watches, give you my first impressions, and tell you what I think. And then we will do a lume shot as well. I don't believe that the lume is complete on these, so just keep that in mind. I'll give you a list of the items that they're actually improving on here. So all three of these have sunray dials. This is the green sunray dial. They all have the same sort of creamy lume color. Again, I think that's something that might be changing. All three have unidirectional 120 click bezels. Actually sound very, very good. They're made in Germany, and they all get the Sellita SW200. Screwed-in crown, screwed-in case backs, obviously. And they all have this very interesting bracelet on it, which is sort of, it just feels very nice. They're a little bit sharp in this direction. However, I think that would be very hard to get finished perfectly on a watch like this, but it doesn't feel bad at all. It just feels a little bit rough when you're running your fingers in the opposite direction of the way that the bracelet actually runs. But it feels very nice either way, and especially when you're running it down the length of the bracelet, it feels very, very nice and finished very well. Screwed-in crown, very nice, big, and very grippy, and the bezel is very grippy and has a very nice pattern, sort of like a wave pattern on the side of the bezel itself. Looks really good, and that wave pattern sort of is carried on into the case back, which is enamel filled. I don't know if that'll actually carry through, if they're actually going to do that for the production model, but you can see it's also enamel filled on the actual ratcheting clasp here, and these are clasps that I generally don't like, and I don't really love it on this one. It's a little bit nicer than the usual ones that I've had on the channel, but I don't really love these type of ratcheting clasps. They just don't feel very good, especially when they're open, and I don't think they look really good, and they kind of have sharp edges where when they're opened like this, and this one does as well. And then you have a sign crown. That sign crown also has that little logo, the Heinrich logo on there, and it also is enameled, which is nice. The bezel itself is actually sapphire, so you have a sapphire bezel on this watch, which I think is really cool. And you get drilled lugs. So they also have quick release on here. However, I believe that they are not doing the quick release on the production model. They are just doing the drilled lugs. They also say that the logo will be smaller here at 12 o'clock. The Heinrich, that's going to be smaller, so a little bit shrunken on the production model. So that probably is a good idea because this is a very, very big logo. And they're also saying that the lugs will line up with the actual bracelet end here, and I don't know how that will work. However, if they make the lugs longer, I think it won't look as good. If they make the bracelet, actually the end link, shorter, I think that probably will work the best. However, that's what they're saying they're going to do. There's some renderings on their website, and what it looks like from the website, it looks like they just made that end link shorter. I hope that's what they're doing, but I'm not sure if that's exactly what they're going to be doing. And then, as I said, there is BGW9, and that is applied into the indices and hands. I don't believe that the bezel is lumed. However, I will do a lume shot, as I mentioned, and we'll take a look, and that is sapphire on all three of these. You have a sunburst effect on the dial. There's a lot of inspiration from its German roots in this actual design. So dimensions, these come in at 41 millimeters, 47 millimeters lug to lug. They're saying a height of 11.5 millimeters. However, with that crystal, it comes in nearer to 14 millimeters, so at about 13.5 millimeters, 14 millimeters with that domed sapphire crystal. And of course, you have anti-reflective coating on that domed sapphire crystal. So not a thin watch, but not a thick watch either. You do have a Sellita SW200 in here, so a pretty thin automatic movement when compared to something like the NH35, which is relatively a little bit thicker. These are actually pretty thin. And the bezel itself is pretty chunky, as you can see, and that dome sapphire crystal is pretty domed, so it does add a lot of girth to this watch. So 11.5 without, and then around 14 with. Just in general, a nicely finished case, a nicely finished bracelet. Like I mentioned, just the opposing direction. I don't know if that's anything that they could actually do. If you want this style of bracelet, it would be very tough. It's a very interesting bracelet, very comfortable bracelet. I'm not sure if it would pull hair on people with hairy wrists. I don't have a hairy wrist, so it won't. And the only other thing I can say about the watch that I don't like is really the clasp. I really like the style and look of this clasp. I just don't like the functionality and the feel of the clasp. And that's not really a knock on this watch. I just don't like these types of clasps, and that's my personal opinion. A lot of people might like those. I like the dial on here. I think they did a really good job. It's a sunburst. It looks really good, and it's very simple. A very simple dial, not cluttered, and if they make that name a little bit smaller, that Heinrich name, it will look a little bit better. Really quickly, I'll throw it on my wrist, and then I'll do a very quick loom shot. Even though I think the loom will be improving, I will do a loom shot either way. Today I'm wearing my G-Shock. This is the one that I actually filled with oil and buried in my backyard for 6 months through the winter. And here it is, still going. I wear this once in a while. It's such a great watch, just keeps going, no issues. So as I mentioned, I have a 7.5-inch wrist, and you can see this is a 41mm watch. It wears really nicely on my 7.5-inch wrist. These are very comfortable. The bracelet itself, when it's on your wrist, feels very, very nice. So that's the black dial. I'll throw the blue dial on as well. The blue dial in particular is probably my favorite out of the three, or the green. I think the black is very nice, but I think that the blue and green are very, very interesting dials. They're also saying that the printing is going to improve a little bit on these dials as well for the actual name. So it just says Taucher and then 200 meters water resistance there, and then the brand name there. So that's the blue on my hand, on my wrist, and then I'm going to throw on the green. Now the green I have not fitted to my wrist, but you can see I use the extension here, and that's the reason why I don't like this extension. Obviously now, if I'm going to use this extension on here, obviously it's for diving, but a majority of the people who are buying this watch aren't using this for scuba diving. They're using this for day-to-day use, and then they may go swimming, they may go diving with it, but using this is not really an option to use for micro adjust. There is no real other micro adjust except for here, where you're getting maybe a millimeter of micro adjust, and that is not a lot. Having this exposed, and it just doesn't look good, and could add some sharp elements to it. Anyway, so I will do a quick loom shot, and then we will wrap up the video. So the loom isn't terrible, however, it's not picking up on the camera as well. It is a little bit dim, but it's not bad at all. I mean, this is better than most watches that come through on the channel, especially major brand watches. This is pretty good. There's a lot of BGW9 on those hands and indices. The bezel itself is not very loomed. I think that's what is probably going to be improved. I think that they're also trying to improve the color of the loom because they used BGW9. I'm not sure if they're trying to go for like a old radium sort of color. But if they improve the loom, I think the loom is pretty good as it is. It's not terrible. If they improve it, it's going to be great. And that is obviously a good thing to strive for. Anyway, first impressions on this watch are really good. I really like this watch. I really like the bracelet. I'm not too crazy about the clasp, but I could overlook that because it's a very unique design. It's a 1970s sort of inspired dive watch. And it really does give that vibe, a 1970s vibe. It gets a really nice bracelet. As I mentioned, the case is very interesting. The finishing is very nice. You have sapphire. It's made in Germany. A sapphire bezel, sapphire dome, sapphire crystal. Very nice dials, and I really like that they enamel filled everything. I don't know if that'll carry into the production models. I hope it does because it looks really good. And finally, I'll talk about price. Price on these are coming in at $639 through their Kickstarter campaign. I believe they're going to be using. I will put a link in the description below. So $639 for these. Not the cheapest Sellita powered dive watch that you can get on the market, but this is a pretty unique design and it looks really good. I think that they've done a pretty good job, and if they're making improvements to this, it will be a pretty cool watch. But $639, there are a lot of choices out there, And you really need to like the look of this watch because it does look like a 1970s sort of sports watch, dive watch. And if you don't like that, it's also 41 millimeters. It wears like a 41 millimeters, maybe like a 42 millimeter because of the case shape itself and those lugs. So definitely keep that in mind. It doesn't wear like a small watch. It wears a little bit larger. It looks a little bit larger even. Anyway, tell me what you think in the comments below. I really want to hear what you guys have to say about these watches. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel. I have some links in the description below. Those links are to Amazon. If you click those links and buy anything, it helps support the channel, doesn't cost you anything extra or interrupt your Prime benefits. But like I said, it helps support the channel, it helps me make these videos, and it helps me bring you all of these new watches that I am constantly trying to bring to you guys. I like to bring you guys as many new watches as I can. I like to bring you guys as much news as I can. So please help support the channel if you can click those links if you're using Amazon Prime. It does help support me making these videos. Anyway, thank you for logging on, and I will catch you guys in the next video.